So my name is Renaud. I'm French. I grew up in France, and then I've lived in Costa Rica for a year working with the Earth Charter. I've also lived in Canada, and I've studied in Sweden a year as well. And I went from the North Pole to the South Pole in 2000, across the Americas as well, to bridge both poles. And that's why I discovered the Earth Charter. And since then, so since 2000, I've been working on accelerating change towards sustainability. With big businesses, small businesses, local communities, teaching all kinds of things that I can do to have an impact myself and to help people realize that it's about the change we each can bring to that system and what can we each do, because that's all we can do. You know, we cannot force anyone to do anything. We can only move the leverages we have at hand. So what are the leverages I have at hand to accelerate change? And the other thing I could add, I read this incredible book from a guy called Ray Anderson. He was the CEO of Interface, a carpet tile company, which has had a huge impact in the business community. And this book was called Mid-Course Correction. And in Mid-Course Correction, he talks about something, a book he reads every year to remember. And I think we should all read the Earth Charter once a year, just to remember those wise words. And to think about how we can use those words to help people act and have impact. Yeah, so when in the Netherlands before arriving, we were 4 or 5 people, and we met, and then I think we met again in Johannesburg, and we wrote. It was 20 years ago, so I can't remember if we met physically, all 5 or 6 of us, or if it was through email, but we wrote a strategy for the youth coalition. And what I can remember for now from it, very, very inspiring work, talking with people where it was like going fast and having ideas and beautiful way of working. And then I remember one of them, I think, said, well, we should do youth groups all over the world. So we started, and I think it was Michael Slaby who had this idea, or who took it in charge, or both. And from Costa Rica here, from the Secretariat, I was helping him to set up those youth groups. That's what I remember. And that was very successful. People loved it. And I think it, as far as I remember, it really created some international activities around Earth Charter and youth. That's my recollection of it. And yeah, it's 20 years ago. I've had 2 loves, I think, in the sustainability world. One is called The Natural Step, and one is the Earth Charter. I loved reading the Earth Charter. I love some of the sentences in the Earth Charter. I think in the preamble there's something like being more rather than having more. I love the concept of community of life. I actually used it a few days ago, and I used it. One of the later projects I've been involved in the last 7 or 8 years is a sustainability literacy test. So kind of saying everybody in the world wants to come out of a university with a TOEFL to check their English, but we actually should check their sustainability knowledge, skills, and mindset. So a few friends started that, and I got involved. And I got involved in building the structure, the matrix behind this test. So what are the subjects you should ask? And both Natural Step and the Earth Charter have this systemic approach. So it's obviously also in the SULI test. And in the SULI test, in the mindset, there is respect and care for the community of life, like a direct copy and paste from the Earth Charter. And I think this concept of community of life is probably one of the ones we're missing the most in the world nowadays. You know, when we talk about the environment, sometimes, you know, we don't include humans in the environment. And this is a huge mistake. And this is a core mistake that we're doing currently, all of us, as a human society in the world. So if we remember that we are part of the community of life, and we are not human beings who need to take care about social things and environmental things, and while taking care of the economy, then we organize our thinking in a much better way. So this concept of community of life for me, I took from the Earth Charter, and I think that's one of the most important things. In the last 2 or 3 years, I was still involved with Earth Charter things and activities. And one of the things we did with a British couple that was in southern France is that we did a CD. It was with the UNESCO, and it was sent to the UNESCO schools, where we had like 20 songs, and I did the work of attaching for each of the songs some principles, one or some principles of the Earth Charter, and activities that schools could do. So there were songs in many languages. I had the words in English, and then I attached them to Earth Charter principles and activities people could do. And then there's a few conferences I went to also with the Earth Charter, just presenting what it can be and how people can use it, and then use the Charter to influence the Sully test matrix as well. I think it's that one word, impact. Like, how can we have an impact? What can you do at your level around you? What are the leverage that you can touch, that you can activate to change the system as fast as possible? Like, we know now, thanks to all those networks and all the activities, that there are lots of people doing lots of things. And that's incredible. But we also know that we are very, very close to the thresholds where it's going to be too late. And there's this race of all the activities and their impacts versus the thresholds. So have an impact as fast as possible. That's my message. The Earth Charter is definitely an incredible way of, with words, with what can it look like, what do we need to be careful with, and it has this potential of telling a story of what it could be like. But now, and this is the vision, so never lose it. And then we call it the low-hanging fruits, those things that are easy to grasp. What do you have at reach that you can grasp to act and have an impact, the biggest possible impact, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, whatever you do, whoever you are.